Parasocial relationships are one-sided things, where somebody who watches a YouTuber for years and years develops a connection with that YouTuber, like they know them as a person, as though they're a friend. If they met that YouTuber on the streets, they might approach that YouTuber as though they know them as a person, but to that YouTuber, the person approaching them is just a stranger. There's definitely a one-sided element when I'm chatting to people who know me from my channels. Typically, it gives me a dreadful feeling that I'm very boring because anything I say, they'll be like, yeah, you said this in a video already. And I'm like, wow, can my entire life and all my thoughts and feelings be condensed down to what's in my YouTube videos? It probably can, but it at least shows me that I'm consistent. I started getting paranoid about parasocial relationships when Thorin started accusing anybody who defended me of having a parasocial relationship with me, and that I wouldn't defend them if the roles were reversed, and it's something I've kept in mind since. Am I a bad or selfish person in some way for having people out there who know me more than I know them? Obviously it's going to happen when you've got 1 million subscribers. But if I saw one of my fans being attacked, would I rush in to save them? I would like to think that I would stand up for anybody if I thought they were being unjustly attacked, no matter who they were. Even if it was Thorin. But of course, you're more likely to relate with someone that you know stuff about, aren't you? To quote a murderous psychopath on an icy planet, we can care deeply, selflessly about those we know, but that empathy rarely extends beyond our line of sight. So, parasocial relationships, one way. Ironically, they can work both ways, and it means that when I make something people don't like, because they feel they know me as a person, it hurts them personally. I suggest you check out the comments section of 3kliksphilip's latest video on AI video generation to see what that looks like. What sort of creator am I? You get creators online who chase the latest trends for clicks. People who don't have a personality themselves, they just parrot what the masses like to hear because it's the path of least resistance and it's very profitable. And people don't mind if you then make a U-turn and change your narrative when the world's narrative changes, because you're still saying what they want to hear. On the other end of the spectrum, you get people who stubbornly go against the status quo, being contrary to get rage bait clicks. They get a lot of hate, but they thrive on hate, so it's fine. Now, I don't think I'm either of those sorts of people. I'm me, and the very reason I've gained a following is because I've never not been me. I've been able to cover all sorts of topics and interests of mine, and I like to think that people follow me because I can show them stuff, or new perspectives about existing stuff. And because I'm very clearly passionate about those topics that I talk about. And when in doubt, or when covering a controversial topic, I follow what I think is true, even if it's the unpopular opinion. And this often means getting attacked by both sides when discussing a polarising issue. It's annoying because it's like the worst of both worlds, but equally, it's probably a sign that I'm on the right sort of track. But with AI, I'm very much at odds with most of the commenters. And I actually disagree with the comments which support me, which seem to be taking delight in upsetting everybody else. From my perspective, I'm covering this topic from my perspective because that's me, but I can understand other people's viewpoints. If you're an artist, then obviously AI generating an image goes against what you do, but if you're a YouTuber or game dev, then you might be looking at the bigger picture, in which case AI generated elements can serve to help with that bigger vision. For instance, when making a game, I don't care much about the artwork. It's merely something that needs to be done for me to make a game. So if AI can free up more time for me to do that, then that's good. And who are you to say that that's not how you do game dev? Maybe you're an artist who makes games for beautiful artwork, in which case I understand why you wouldn't want to AI generate the artwork. You might want to AI generate the rest of the process instead. Or how about my YouTubing? Sometimes there isn't relevant footage for a section of the video, and I'd rather just use AI to generate an amusing image than to leave it blank, or worse still, to use irrelevant gameplay footage filler, which I think can be more distracting when it's nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But it's hard to convey that sort of nuance to the topic of AI when people just see it as a clear good or bad thing. What is 3kliksphilip? He might be a Counter-Strike channel, but for a Counter-Strike channel there's a disturbing lack of Counter-Strike content in his videos. I like to think of it as a Counter-Strike channel by and for people who don't play Counter-Strike. I don't like the idea of releasing CS2 Matchmaking Volume 78. I like to think that every video is surprising and unexpected in some way. And I do this by combining Counter-Strike with 2kliksphilip's knowledge and interests, with new stuff like ray tracing, upscaling, and most recently, AI. 3kliksphilip has been doing this for a number of years already. He's already made several well-received videos about AI-generated images, and if you've been following his career for any period of time, then him covering AI video generation is a very logical topic for him to cover next. Combining novel new technology with Counter-Strike is what's made 3kliksphilip what he is today, yet it now puts him at odds with his audience. Because AI, while it started as an unknown, or something that people didn't see the appeal of, in recent years and months, Its development has accelerated and is becoming increasingly capable and powerful, and with it, it has gained a very bad reputation, as there are all sorts of bad, evil and selfish ways in which it can be used. And the art community online is very large, united and vocal about their dislike for it, and is understandably very concerned about a technology that risks competing against their skills online. So to cover AI in my videos in anything but a super negative tone means I will upset a lot of people, no matter how I cover it. But to quote a psychopathic supervillain from another Nolan movie, what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? That case being 3kliksphilip's love of technology with the world's hatred for AI-generated stuff. If I was smart, I'd avoid the topic entirely. If I was very smart, I'd just parrot the common narrative that it's bad and be loved by everybody in the world. And then I change my narrative once it's accepted as being a tool that everyone uses. But right now, this is where I'm stubbornly being myself, and I just approach it as being a new tool, and I try to find a way to work it into Counter-Strike content. Because yes, I acknowledge that AI can be used for bad or pointless purposes, but no, I don't feel like I need to labour that point in my videos, because I can just focus on the positive and how I'm going to use it for purposes which I find perfectly acceptable. AI-generated videos of Counter-Strike recently made it to the top of the Counter-Strike subreddit. Of course I'm going to use this opportunity to investigate it, and not in a lazy, low-effort way where I just show his video and talk about it for a few minutes. No, I'm going to be jumping right in and exploring it for myself. I did that for 2 weeks, made it into a story, and packaged it up into that video that people now hate. And this is where I realised that there is a parasocial relationship. Not with my audience to me, but with me to my audience. Because I thought my audience would understand where I was coming from. They'd understand my point of view. But clearly, from the video's negative reception, the downvotes and the thousands of subscribers I've lost from this one new video, people saying that this is it, this is the end of 3kliksphilip, because you're only ever as good as your latest video, it's very clear that I was mistaken about my audience's perception of me. And any affection or loyalty my audience might have had for 3kliksphilip is very clearly outweighed by their hatred of AI. This is very hurtful for me, to have the illusion that I'm on the same track as my audience smashed in an instant, and to see many long-term fans who have watched hundreds of my videos so keen to turn on me simply for this one video and for their dose of daily outrage. I feel like the world's hatred of AI has all been quite unfairly channeled towards me, and they're making a martyr out of me, whether I want to be or not. And it's sad to see people attacking me in so many personal, imaginative and hateful ways. People telling me this is obvious rage bait, when it isn't. That I'm into crypto and AI scams, which I'm not. Long-term viewers saying I've had a mental breakdown, and I can't reply or try to explain that I'm not to them because that only fuels their narrative, so I have to remain silent and allow them to paint that narrative. And while this is literally nothing to do with the trans community, they've used this opportunity to commence their attack on me on social media again. I've long thought my eventual downfall wouldn't be from any one instance, but rather from 1,000 cuts, and when all the disagreements and controversies I've been involved in can eventually team up and bring me down together, with a united goal of simply killing me off. And it's very hurtful and quite a low blow when people tell me that accepting gambling promotions would have been less harmful than this video about AI generation. I was offered tens of thousands of pounds a month back in 2016 and 2017 in Bitcoin, which would have been worth tens of millions today, which I refused because I guess I had a parasocial relationship with my audience and didn't wish them harm. And also because any normal person can see that promoting gambling and skin selling to children is wrong. But you bet it weighs heavily on my mind to think I could have taken that money, the dramas around which would now be long forgotten, and I'd now have enough money not to worry about stuff or having to make stuff that people don't like. Meanwhile, 3kliksphilip has made me less than minimum wage this month, quite a bit less, and for it, and for remaining true to myself and my interests, I am now the internet's #1 enemy. And I guess I've recently woken up and gone, what the hell, Philip? You've missed out on a fortune. All you had going for you was your reputation, which has now worked out against you. If anything, all my moral principles have merely served to make people hate me more now, and it really makes me ask, why do I do this? Obviously I'm passionate about what I do, but why would any sane person dedicate so much of their life to something that isn't just unprofitable, but it also results in such an intense and sustained attack against their person on social media? It can't be good for my mental state. Maybe these people have a point. Maybe I am going through a mental breakdown without even realizing it. Is anyone meant to be sustained to such an attack from so many people constantly? But what hurts me most is that I've reached this point by always being myself, and I've never betrayed who I am for financial gain or for popularity, and now people are telling me to retire. It's hurtful, and I think it hurts me because I have a parasocial relationship with my audience. It reminds me a lot of the COVID series that I made. Every month in COVID, I covered the latest developments, thinking it gave people something to look forward to, something to give them perspective. And it started off so positive. Yet by the end, I was getting hate for being part of Big Pharma and for being for vaccinations and for being so easily brainwashed and manipulated by the government. I remained true to myself throughout all that, and yet it didn't stop the rest of the world from changing and eventually turning on me. Yet I see my content as being a historical record, a snapshot in time, not just at the state of stuff like COVID or with AI development, but the comment section shows a valuable insight into public perception about those topics at the time. And I see the same being true with my latest video on AI video generation, and that is now what I cling to justify why I made it and why I'm not going to change my stance. I like to think I approached that video from a curious and novel direction, and I genuinely see nothing wrong with how I used that technology in that video. Yes, I am at odds with how the rest of the world perceives AI, and no matter what happens, it will be interesting to look back at in a few years' time and to see how things have changed. If nothing else, I can at least know I remain true to myself, even if it came at great financial and moral cost. It makes me feel like I am now out of touch with my audience. And yet, I have never had a bad encounter with people in the real world. Every time I meet somebody in real life who knows me from my internet stuff, it's a lovely encounter, and it proves to me that it's worth being myself. I'm a weird guy with weird humour, hobbies and interests. It wouldn't benefit me to try and be more mainstream, as I'd be out of touch with the people who meet me in reality. As it is, I can just be myself and it works out because I'm myself. It's just sometimes very hard to remain myself online when it feels like the whole world is against me and have to deal with everyone misconstruing my intentions and reasons for doing what I do. I know it's just a vocal minority. It always is. It's just that this time around it feels like a very big vocal minority. So, 3 kliksphilip. Not doing it for the money, not doing it to be liked, but at the very least, when he does meet somebody who knows him for his online persona, it isn't such a one-sided parasocial relationship. Because sure, they know 3 kliksphilip more than 3 kliksphilip knows them, but at least they know me for who I am, and I can take pleasure in knowing the people who meet me share the same passions and interests as I do. That isn't so bad.